And
Yeah,
it's just like, man.
we always tell them, hey, it's bigger than you. Everything is bigger than you. And I think the kids and I think the younger you teach them, the better it is when they get older. Like the scripture said, train up a child in which he should go, and the older he get, we won't depart from it. So we train them to be great citizens, young citizens, and then as they get older, obviously they want to always find ways to get back. So what's happened is over the last 8 years, a lot of those kids that started when they were 12 and 13 and now they've graduated high school, now they're coming back and giving back. They're coming back to me and saying, Coach, hey, can I help out? In whatever way can I help back? Can I help out? So
that's huge.
and it just kind of warms my heart when I see that. Some that still like even now that can't have an opportunity to come back, but they'll pick up the phone, ready to message me on Messenger or try to find a way to reach out to them. Hey, Coach, is there anything I can do to help out? Got some community service project that you're doing. Yeah. Some of the kids now that are in high school that have aged out of our program, they want to find ways. Hey, Coach, y'all got any community service projects coming? It just warms my heart to see that, because again, those are the things we embedded in them when they were 7, 8, 9 years old. Yeah. And now that they're 15, 16, and 17 years old, now they want to find a way to come back and do the same thing that we trained them to do.
Yeah.
So, and those are the things that create. And like I said, those little things like that. I was trained here by some of the great guys in this community. Like I said, the Jimmy Greens, you hear me say Jimmy Green, Carl Wilson, because those guys were those are my pillars. Those were the guys that built me into the man that I am today, because of the character and respect and going above and beyond the call of duty. And I think those guys did that. Those father figures to us. So those guys poured into us, and I felt like one day that I was going to do the same. That I was going to pour back in some of these kids the same way I always.
Welcome to the Americus Podcast, where we're learning what it means to become a next level neighbor, creating a place we enjoy with the people we love. Today, I am joined by Chris Seay. If you don't know who Chris Seay is, it's probably because you call him Buck, which is his nickname. He is a former graduate from Americus High School now, and he's working with nonprofit and also as a coach. We'll talk a little bit about that. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Very happy.
It's great. Well, like I said, if you don't know Chris, it's because his nickname is Buck. So tell me, I got to know, where does this come from?
Oh, well, when I was a young man, 6, 7 years old, my brother was, I guess because we talked about the strength part of it. I was always like big and buff and whatever. So, but I always liked to fight when I was a little kid, when I was a little boy. I mean, every day I was fighting. So. And nowadays, at that time, it's like you're always bucking at somebody. So, Buck kind of stuck to me, stuck with it, and obviously they took it not even just at home, but obviously the newspaper editors and all that. That's what they called me. So even when I signed my college scholarship, they was like, Buck signed with Iowa School. So
that's awesome.
It's kind of neat. That's what the heading stated. So
I love it.
That's where it all comes from.
That's strong. That's a good nickname to have. So currently you're living in Thomasville, so if you haven't seen Buck in a while, that's probably why. Yeah. So he comes periodically into town. I'm glad that you're here for the podcast. Obviously, like I said, man, you look fit, you look great. It's like what I would imagine looking like if I could ever get there. I would love to hear a little bit of maybe just, even like your weekly exercise now, and then, man, share with us the highlights of, your max weight, whether that's bench or squat or whatever you really focused on. I'd love to hear that.
Well, now it's really not more the strength and all that stuff because I'm not competing. So, but I do some cardio. I do a whole lot of cardio, at least 3 days a week cardio, walking about 5 miles, for 3 days, maybe like a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday type thing. Some days I go in and hit the bench and be a little bit light, nothing too heavy, because I don't want to show off on any of the guys that are in the weight room. So I just try to stay light as possible for sure. So
that's great. Well, do you have like a max that you really enjoy, like, wherever you wanted to get to?
I think when I was in high school, I always wanted to hit the 300-pound weight, and I think I didn't get that until my senior year.
Yeah.
I think I went like 315. I think I maxed it. Well, I hit it maybe like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Wow.
But then once I got to college, I think the highest I got was like 345. So
wow.
But now I just look at that weight. I don't try to pick it up at all.
That's great. No, that's amazing. Yeah. So we're talking a little bit about Americus, right? Yeah. Americus, this is what the podcast is about. You had reached out to me and I was like, okay, Thomasville. Okay. He was born in Americus, raised in Americus. So as a new neighbor here, I love to gather stories of people from Americus. So yeah, tell me a little bit about growing up in Americus. Tell me where you were born, where you grew up, maybe even what street you grew up on. Tell me a little bit about your life, your family dynamics.
Oh, wow. For me, growing up here, I was adopted. Okay. I was adopted by my mom's sister. My mom had some health issues when I was born. I was the firstborn, first of 4. Okay. So she had some health issues. So my aunt took me in, and obviously she had an established family already. You know, she had 8 kids of her own, and all of us in a small trailer on Brady Road. If people here in America know what Brady Road is, way out in the country, Brady Road. But we moved periodically, and so it was Brady Road, 280, which is out past Walmart, and then we moved to Southern Field Road, which is out close to where the high school is now, the new high school. And then we moved right into the city, North Jackson Street, right across from the old health department. On off of Jackson Street, and not too far from Staley Middle School, where I attended middle school as well. And that's where I did most of my growing up. I did most of my growing up on 44C North Jackson Street. So I did all my growing up there. That's when I found Christ at that time. Right down the street, Big Bethel Baptist Church on North Jackson Street as well. But I was in between. I used to go from that church to Camel Chapel, Seay, a.k.a. Church, right on the corner of Lee Street. Okay. And I can't remember the other street there, but Mr. Carl Wilson had me going there. He used to pick us up in a blue Ford truck, man. And we used to ride on the back of that truck and get to church, and I was always waiting. I didn't know how much attention I paid in church. I was just waiting for after church, because we used to always get a bologna sandwich and some chips and an orange soda, and that's all I wanted. That's what I was waiting for. I knew that was it. That my day was made at that point. But if anything that was going to take me to church, somebody got to feed me afterwards.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that was the best part about the whole thing. So, but growing up here, that's what we used to do, man. I don't think they do that a whole lot now. People in the community picking you up, taking you to church, people in the community taking you to events and things of that nature. They kind of moved away from those things. Mr. Jimmy Green used to take us to every summer to a basketball tournaments in different places in Millersville, Calhoun, Georgia. Shucks, it's a whole lot of places we've been to a lot of places. But I kind of matured because I was around a lot during those times. I was around older guys, like 17, 18-year-old.
Just kind of pouring into you guys.
Yeah, that's it. And again, you learn good habits, you learn bad habits. So I learned a little bit of both, and I think I actually used them a little bit when I became 16 and 17. But now I'm trying to teach kids nowadays not to go that route. So but growing up here and in this community and being a student here, you learn so much. And again, like I said, I think that's the touch that this community is missing now. Yeah. Just those types of things where people kind of poured into you and didn't mind pouring into you. Yeah. And took the extra time to pour into you when people there when you need them.
So a strong sense of community, strong sense of faith, kind of growing up. I mean, you were just right in the middle of it. Yep. You were caught up in it, and you were fine with it. That's where you were going. So
again, it was an amazing experience. Like I said, I'm always happy to come back here because it's home. It's always home to me. So I don't get too comfortable anywhere. but I can always get comfortable when I come here because I know the love and the support that I had when I was here. Being a football player when I was here and being somewhat connected to the community because of me in football. So definitely.
Yeah. Well, even going back to, the nickname, I mean, you were, what kind of kid were you growing up? I mean, were you very highly relational? Were you kind of a shy kid? Were you energetic kid?
Oh yeah. Sometimes I show my energy a little bit more than I should. I used to get in trouble a lot. Some people look at me today and think like, oh, he was a good kid because I'm a good guy now. But man, I was, I got in trouble every day, So again, I made a reputation of getting in trouble, getting write-ups and things of that nature. Yeah. And again, like I said, I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, the teachers that I had when I was in 1st through 5th grade, I gave them, some stuff. And I don't think they would have thought today that I would have been a teacher for 15 years. Yeah. I taught for 15 years.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
So again,
did you recognize kind of growing up that was kind of your personality, or do you feel like there was something that, I mean, you were just processing? Like I'm just trying to get out. I'm trying to get something out.
That's it. And I think that was, I wasn't challenged as much because I was a very, very smart kid. I just, I would finish my work done and just kind of act up, because again, I wasn't challenged at all. And I think as I got older, I started understanding that, hey, you just kind of take your time and kind of feel your way. And I think that's like what I give kids today. Just kind of take your time and making decisions. And then, things will start coming to you. And I think that's what happened. I just kind of took my time, find my way. And I finally took time just to listen and listen to my heart, listen to God speak to me, and I'm responding to him. So so again, like I said, it's things like that, and I think that's the thing I took most from just growing up here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you're highly competitive.
Very.
So did you feel like when someone was trying to outshine you or trying to talk down to you, you feel like you had to kind of present yourself
had to defend myself. I mean, because again, like
were
I said,
were you kind of a smaller kid growing up? I mean, obviously you handle yourself now, but I was
always kind of muscular or whatever. I've seen some old pictures of me when I was in middle school, and I was like, not middle school, but like elementary school, and I was like, had muscles coming out my neck. It was just crazy.
Wow,
it's just crazy, but I was very active kid. Just always wanted to be involved with something, and I think that's because I couldn't do it at home because everybody was older than I was. So it's like, being adopted, again, and coming to a family that most of the guys are already, either preteen or already, young adults. So again, my energy was taken out when I left home versus when I was at home. So but that was pretty much it for me, so I just had a lot of energy and I had to get it out. So
that's right.
That's right. Just like they say in church. I got to praise. I got to get it out. So
did you know growing up that you were adopted, or when did you find that out?
I think as I got into my teen years, I kind of understood it a little bit. When I knew I was going to visit my mom versus me staying with my mom. So I had to be like a lot of kids in school would say like, hey, my dad or my mom did this or my dad did that, and I'm kind of understand, like I'm going home and calling my mom aunt and my uncle, instead of my calling my uncle's dad, I'm calling him uncle. So it's like I was disconnected that way from my student body versus, being from a home where you got both of your parents and all of your siblings, you're going on vacations and trips. But for us, we couldn't do that. We weren't fortunate enough to be in that position. So, but that's the disconnect I had. I didn't have the things that everybody else had. First day of school, everybody had new clothes and things that I didn't have that. Yeah. For Christmas, everybody come back after Christmas, you get new clothes and new shoes. Yeah. I didn't have that. So, because again, I'm in a home where, obviously these are my family members, but hey, they're taking care of.
There's support there, but like you said, that there's a disconnect with conversations with other students.
Definitely.
So so you're growing up, you're in middle school, high school. You start playing sports, right? Getting engaged in that. Did you notice how much you enjoyed just the sport itself, or because obviously you're a coach now, but like, did you just love the game, or I mean, what?
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love the game. I actually, was playing football in my backyard again, the disconnect I have from everybody else. See, all the other guys, they were playing rec football. I didn't play football until I got to middle school.
Okay.
So I was always playing street ball, throwback tackle, they called it. So, so again, and I just kind of fell in love with the game, but it was more so basketball before football. I love basketball because that's pretty much all I was pretty much played coming up, but I played football when I could. So when I got to middle school, got into football, didn't really understand, looking at this tackle stuff, people got pads on and helmets. Again, I wasn't introduced to it until I got there. So, because I didn't play recreation football. So, I was intimidated in the beginning to hit people and tackle people because I've never, had to.
Right. Any other time you had to do that, you get in trouble.
Yeah,
I can do this for
now
real.
I can do it. It took me. I had to get through the 6th grade year to actually understand. Hey, it's okay to tackle with pads on. So, okay. So, but once I got it, I got it. So, and I think everybody else knew it too. So. But yeah, definitely. I just fell in love with the game.
And did you find some extra support at the school, like growing up in middle school, high school? What was that?
Again, I think it was, I guess as we got into middle school, it got a little bit more tough. It got tougher, I'll say. And the reason I say that is because your body start changing, as a male, your body start changing and you kind of start shying away from things. So it's like, it was like football practice, go home, and that's it. And teachers and your peers, you didn't really, I would say, I didn't really have a connection with a lot of people. I had, certain people that I kind of dealt with that somewhat knew my situation or knew my position. Yeah. Even without talking to them, they just kind of knew it. So again, I was a little standoffish a little bit, but the game of football was my escape. For it all, I mean, anything that I'm dealing with at home, or anything that's going on with me personally, when I get on the football field, all I think about is like, hey, I got to defeat this person, and I'm good. So teachers and my peers, they really, I really never really paid a whole lot of attention to it. So, but I think, around the time I got in middle school, that's when I got saved. Okay. So then I wasn't afraid to, when I was a 7th grader, I wasn't afraid to speak my mind and say how I felt if I had something to say, or however I was able to do it without any issues. So, but and as I got older as a 7th grader and 8th grader, I was able to I was learning myself and being able to be sociable a little bit and be able to talk a little bit more. Because again, I really didn't talk a lot until I got to the football field. Because I can relate with everybody here because I understand it, but I don't understand, what some of these other students, a lot of my classmates were, who they really were. All I know is that they all had, their own families, and I'm an outsider because I don't, I live with my aunt and uncle. So but then there were probably other kids that had the same situation that I was in, but I didn't know that because I wasn't sociable enough to know it. So
no, that's really good. I mean, sports definitely allow people to feel like they're contributing to a larger family, to say, hey, if I'm making my tackles, if I'm doing my stuff, people want, like it builds that framework for conversations and relationships, where sometimes when you don't have those connections, it's just like, I don't know how to connect with you, And I would say even now, 2023, people are more apt to be able to kind of share their feelings and people are more willing to receive that. Growing up, was that kind of hard, with dynamics of, do you feel like you could have shared your emotions, your opinions, or was it kind of like, taboo kind of things? You're just like,
to be honest, I was just afraid what people would say or how they felt about, because like I said, I already felt like an outsider, even just from, being adopted, I always felt like an outsider. But then again, like I said, it's with my classmates and things of that nature, it just, I guess because I was just so far from everybody, I couldn't really fit in with the conversations or whatever. So I really didn't try to even put myself in a position, because I felt like if I'd have said something and it didn't regulate to any of them, it's like, I shouldn't say nothing anyway, you know. So, but now, like I said, I'm older. Sometimes I think back, like, man, you know, I should have just been a little bit more sociable. I should have just kind of spoke my mind. But obviously, I waited till my own time. Everything comes in time. So absolutely, I think that's what happened.
Yeah. So you're enjoying sports. You're getting connected there. Where do you see yourself going from middle school to high school? Do you want to continue to progress, obviously, in the sports world? Did you see yourself excelling in that? Tell me a little bit about high school.
High school was a turning point. I was 14, 15-year-old kid coming into high school. Then, you know, when we left middle school, you have this career day thing. And I remember when the high school people came over to the middle school and they were talking about all these different careers that you can get into. With I think they had the home ec people, the junior RTC program came over. I think they had band. I can't remember. I remember them coming out in front of Staley Middle School, and that's where they had everything. Yeah. And the only thing that stood out to me is in terms of career was military. Okay. And RTC. And at that point, I had never thought about joining the military until I learned junior RTC. And of course, that was one of the first things I joined when I got into high school. That was one of my electives that I got involved in. And for 4 years, I did that. Wow. And I thought about it even before, after signing my college scholarship to play college football. I was anticipating going to the Coast Guard. That was just my mind. I wanted to go into the armed forces, and I had never thought about that ever before that time. And that freshman year, I moved up. I moved up really, really fast, and the rankings. So I think I ended up being a master sergeant. Oh wow! And by my senior year. And we were going on different trips to every summer for military camp. And we used to stay for a whole week. And the relationships, man, that you was building with these guys from like all over the state of Georgia. Y'all coming in Fort Stewart over near Savannah, Hinesville. Okay. And these guys, man, I connected with guys from Metter, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, just guys that was in my platoon. I was in the C company. And I just remember, like, these guys, man, it's like these guys, I just thought they're like the best in the world, you know, like, so again, like, I was able to communicate with these guys because they come from like places like me, you know, like the background similar to mine. So it was easy to communicate and talk to these guys. And I felt like, man, if it's like this in the military, this is where I need to be, you know? So, but I learned also it's the same way in football too. You get in the locker room with all these guys that, you know, come from different walks of life, but they understand you not just on the athletic side of it, but personally. Right. Yeah. So with that being said, it's like once I got to high school and kind of learned all those things and, you know. Yeah, I mean,
but you also were in the athletics and did you realize, I mean, because you're going to be sharing a little bit about, you know, getting some scholarships to colleges for football. I mean, you know, when you play sports, that's kind of what you hope for, right? But everyone, I mean, a lot of people will play sports, but they won't ever get to that level. Right. I mean, and again, you know, there's various reasons for that. But did you recognize how good you were playing and how well you were excelling in that?
I learned, and obviously, and I worked at it. I mean, I work with nobody else. I used to say it all the time. Is, you know, the champions are built when nobody else is working. So, and that's what I was building up my mentality. That's a good line, man. And when nobody else was working, I was, you know, walking and running and lifting weights and all those things because I wanted to be better. Because I knew, like, again, I'm a freshman or a sophomore, but you know, I'm going up against juniors and seniors, and I want an opportunity to get on the field. And I was able to get on the field, not as early as I wanted to, but when I got on, I wanted to let them know, hey, this is where I belong here. And again, like I said, I want them to know that the work that I put in to actually get to this point. So I was counted on a lot as a sophomore and a little bit more as a junior, and a whole lot more as a senior.
But did you know going into your senior year that there probably were people looking at you and trying to see if their potential of that?
I did, but
how'd that feel?
That felt pretty good. You know, to a lot of times we was getting guys. You know, we had guys that were highly recruited guys. That our quarterback was, you know, pretty highly recruited. Had a receiver that was pretty highly recruited. corners the defensive backs that were highly recruited, and recruiters would come in and look at those guys. But again, to this day, I feel the same way. Like, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, they're going to come look at him plus me.
Yeah.
And I had some of those, but obviously I didn't do so well academically that would put me in that position to actually go there. So I was kind of putting all my sports and all my eggs in just sports in that one basket, but not really taking care of what I was supposed to take care of in the classroom.
Yeah.
But I did everything I was supposed to do to graduate, but I felt like if I would have put just a little bit more effort there, it would have been a whole lot better for me in terms of scholarships and offers and things of that nature. So, so as I've become a coach now, my benefit to a lot, my information to most kids now is my direction is like, hey, if you can do what you're supposed to do in the classroom, it would dictate where you can go outside of the classroom. So
that's good. That's good. Now I've heard about the standard, when you were growing up, going to high school, Miss Juanita Wilson, was that encouraging to you to have that such a strong standard for school? Very much so. Very much so. And she was like, not only the Americas Panthers biggest fan, she was my biggest fan. Miss Wilson loved herself some Chris. So, but yeah, and again, I was, this place was when in those days, football and the brand America's football and Sumter County football. I'm telling you, it was. I guess I was telling you earlier. I was like, we can be 0-4, and we'll still have a packed house on a Friday night. Even when we traveled, went to away games, it looked like a home game for us. But again, like I said, those were the good old days when it wasn't a whole lot to get into. I mean, that's all we had was football and Coach Dan Ragle, Charles Truitt, Billy Glanton, and those guys that kind of poured. Again, those guys we're talking about that poured a lot into you, even when we weren't at school. Same thing with some of the other people outside, Mr. Carl Wilson, Mr. Jimmy Green, and those guys. They used to pour into us when we needed them. And again, like you said, it's just not a lot of that stuff going on now. So everybody doing everything now is for money and what you can get in return versus, what you're giving to help these kids get to the next level. Yeah. So what was the deciding factor for ROTC or college football? Like what? You know what I mean? How did you make that decision? Because it seemed like you had two good families or communities that you could dive into. I think one of the biggest, what it came down to was either way it goes. If I would have joined the military, I was getting away from Americus, and if I would have played football, I was going to get away from Americus. Yeah. Either way it goes, I was in a win-win situation because our whole goal was that I wanted to leave. I did not want to be here. I had just had some, I wanted to kind of learn how to be my own person and kind of develop my own identity. Yeah. Because I really couldn't develop my own identity here because I had, the roots were here. I mean, so it's like, but once I stepped outside or I crossed the line, I remember getting on that Greyhound bus heading up to Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Just knowing that once I left here, it was going to be about me and what I do. And again, like I said, I can't turn around now. I signed this paper. Yep. I'm on this bus. I got to go. So, again, like I said, I took that because I felt like my heart was just into football. I wanted to play football, and I know I didn't do a good enough job academically to get to the military academy. I think if I had an opportunity to go to the military academy, hey, I would have went to the military academy. Yeah, but I didn't have West Point grades. So, but I think, and again, like I said, everything is kind of happened for its own reason, and again. I probably if those things had happened, I wouldn't be here. Probably be somewhere totally different. But I think God just had a plan for me to just do what I did and go where I went and learn what I learned and and meet the people that I met. So that I still had a great relationship with to this day. Yeah. Did you when you were going to college? I mean, was it primary goal, want to graduate and then potentially do something else as well, or was it no? I'm trying to go full professional football kind of. And where did you find yourself? My whole goal was when I left here was to just be a beacon of light for my nieces, my nephews, my brothers, my cousins. Yep.
to be that, because I was the first one to actually go to college in my family.
Wow.
So that was already one thing that I had already done beyond everybody else. But then having the opportunity to graduate from college, that was another thing. First in my family graduated from college. I actually now got a nephew just graduated this past year, 2023, last couple months ago.
Yeah.
He's going to college. And so again, those things. So now you know, people see it. Your nieces and nephews see it. You know, and I got some that's in the military. I mean, and I think, you know, it could have been my reason, you know, the reason I did it, or you know, it could because I decided to do that. It's okay to leave home or leave the nest or what have you. So, and that was my whole goal, to just kind of have something that my nieces, my nephews, cousins, and you know, let them know it's something more than Americus out here.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
So
that's
more
right.
cities and more areas that are, you know, maybe like home or not like home, but you'll never know unless you leave home.
That's right. Yeah. So what was your experience like in college?
Super.
Yeah.
I mean, from the time I stepped, hold on. When I stepped off the bus in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, they call it the Jackrabbit. Was the bus was a Jackrabbit, and they put me all at a gas station. I remember the head football coach coming. I thought I was somewhere in like Texas, but I was in this country town. It was a convenience store, one gas station, a Walmart distribution center, and a college campus.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. I said that just to myself. I said, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. This is nothing like Americus. But I had it again. Like I said, it was a great experience there. Had a great experience. Met some great people. And then all of a sudden, I had football season started. We lost the first game. I said, okay, all right, we can bounce back from this. We lost the second game. That game was on ESPN because we had lost like 79-3. And I was like, you know. Then we lost the third game, and so on and so forth. Then all of a sudden we were 0-10. I said, no, I got to get out of here. Can't stay here. And I was like, because I didn't lose 10 games in my high school career.
Yeah.
So I went. I decided to go off to transfer. I transferred right down the road, about 1 hour and 45 minutes, to St. Ambrose in Davenport, Iowa, and that was the best decision I ever made. And we won 3 straight conference championships there. Was in the playoffs all those years, and again, like I said, it was my experience there versus anything else. We was able to accomplish some things, and then I was able to go do some professional stuff with some arena football and
How did you get connected with that? I mean, it was
obviously where I played college football at, right across the river, the Mississippi River, was Moline, Illinois. That's obviously, if no one knows, that's the capital city. I mean, not the capital city, but that's the headquarters for John Deere.
Okay,
and there was a team over there called the Quad City Steamwheelers. There was Arena 2 football, and I was able to. They actually invited me to a tryout. Obviously, we don't do drafts and all that stuff like that. But I did end up going to NFL Combine. I went to the NBA. I do it, not NFL Combine, but I went to a pro day at the University of Iowa. Had some scouts, some pro NFL scouts talking to me or whatever. But they would tell me, hey, you know, it's this, these things like that. So I don't do well at being turned down. So I just say, you know what, I'll take my talents elsewhere. So I got an invite to do a tryout for the Quad City Steamwheeler. First on the list, I made the team. Top guy. I was one of the fastest guys there at the combine, at the tryout. I had great ball skills and things of that nature. They signed me to a 2-year contract. So
what was the competition like? I mean, did it take a step up?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, it was, these guys are hungry. These guys were trying to get to NFL as well. That's right. So that was their goal. So obviously they played like
hard.
Yeah. They played really hard. And again, like I said,
did the game feel faster?
It was a whole lot faster. You playing on a 50-yard field with a wall here, you know? So I had some hard days of hitting that wall though. But the worst part of it is hitting somebody into that wall. So, but I had a chance to work my way up. I made it to the A1 level, which is Arena 1 league, which is the next league up if you want to go pro. So
yeah.
So I had an opportunity to do that, make it up that ladder, and I felt like getting to that monument area there, which I never in my wildest dream thought I'll get there, but I was able to get there, and I competed at the highest level as well. So,
awesome.
So I was 2 years out of the 4 years that I played arena football, 2 of the years I was all arena football team. So,
okay, yeah, and that's all in Iowa.
All in Iowa, Chicago,
okay,
Peoria, Illinois, and of course the Quad Cities.
Okay,
which is Moline, which is still in Illinois as well. So
yeah,
all that in the Quad Cities. So it's like you can be in like 4 states and just like that, because you got Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin.
Okay.
So it's kind of neat. So
yeah. What was that experience like, just being all those different cities compared to
it's
Americus?
It's different from here.
Yeah.
A whole lot different.
Yeah.
You know, we talking about flatland corn and all that stuff like that. Just country boys.
Yeah.
So but it was great. That's probably one experience I never take back. I'll do that again if I had to do it today.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about like how America's, it has its traditions, it has its history, and trying to kind of get out of that and just trying to experience different things. Do you feel like you got a chance to experience some things that as you come back to places like Thomasville or Americus, that you're just like, hey guys, there's a big world out there. It's not just what you've seen and what you've experienced. But
the biggest thing about this city here alone, it prepared me for those experiences that I was able to.
Yeah.
I saw in Chicago, I saw in Peoria, I saw in Iowa, the relationship that was built. I learned how to build relationships before I left here.
Yeah.
So it's easy to build those same relationships somewhere else. So that's what this place have done for me. I think that's why I have the relationship with the people that I have today, because of where I come from. This city has built me this way. Let people say that, we back in the day we call it Americus. Americus built me, So and I'm built the Americus way. So
so
definitely.
And you had mentioned, I think you said you came back around 2004. What brought you back to 2000? Yeah, in 2004. What brought you back? And I would assume there's some coaching in there. So when did you start thinking more in the lines of, hey, maybe I could go this route too?
When I was in when I did my student teaching in the fall of 2003, the fall of 2003, because I graduated December 2003. I did my student teaching in the fall, and I was able to do student teaching. I was also able to coach during that time as well. I was a volunteer coach at Davenport North High School. And I was like, man, I never really thought about coaching football. But every summer that I came back here, I would always work with the rec department. Okay. Well, the Boys and Girls Club. I work at the Boys and Girls Club with Jimmy Green, and we had a travel. The same team that used to take me all over the places. I came back to coach those guys.
Look at that.
So Jimmy gave me an opportunity to coach that team, and of course, the first year I did, I was a hothead. I got technical fouls and stuff like that. But then, and we won something. Yeah, you got it. But the next year, once I learned my craft, I learned what it takes to be a coach. Yeah. And I listened to some guys that I went to clinics and things that so I learned, once I learned the game, it was easy for me to translate that into my own way into my players. And then we went on and won the first division championship and that whole rec thing, the whole travel time that we were ever even playing, because we never won it when I played. Yeah. But I was able to coach my kids to that division championship. So and I think that the experience that we had then, it kind of helped me, transition into, like I said, the coaching realm as a football coach. Because I felt like if I played football, I can coach football, and that's exactly what happened. I was able to do that, and I came back in 2004, 2005. That was the first year that America was able to combine. They combined schools. So the reason I was able to come back, because arena football, it's played in the spring, not in the fall. So I was able to come back in the fall, coach. I would coach basketball all the way up until January, like right before the season end, because we'll go into mini camp and all training camp for arena football in March. So I'll leave and go, and I did that for like I said, 4 years. And during that time, I was working on my master's from Troy University, I was actually out at Georgia Southwestern at the time, working on my master's. And then once I moved to Albany, I ended up getting my master's from Troy State University, Albany.
Wow.
And because they had a satellite campus there in Albany. So, I was
that's
able to
amazing.
get my
That's a
master's.
lot. I mean, that's
so
getting work done.
Definitely,
like you said,
definitely.
champions are built.
Yep.
Everyone else is not working.
So
that's good. That's good. So how did you? Okay, so you were here for a while, but now you're in Thomasville.
Thomasville, yeah.
How'd you get there?
When I left Americus in 2006 and I moved to Albany. I worked at Lee County High School. And I worked at Newburgh Christian Academy off of Radium Springs Road there in Albany for Pastor L.B. Gardner. I went to church there and I worked at his school there. I did that for 2 years. So that was around the height when what they did, I think the economy was going under, like the 2008, right? I think it was just the economy issues. And then so obviously, we start losing kids at the academy. And I said, man, I got to go. I got to find somewhere to go. So I ended up, one of my buddies was coaching over at Lee County. Hey, I think we got a coaching slot open. So I went over to Lee County High School there in Leesburg, coached there for one season. And it was 2008 and 2009. And then stayed there. And then one of my good friends that I met at a coaching clinic, Lord, out of all places, I met him at a coaching clinic. He ended up getting the head football job and athletic director job at Brookwood School in Thomasville. Okay. So he called me up and said, hey, man, I got a girls basketball position open now. And I was coaching girls basketball at Lee County. I was coaching JV and I was assistant varsity coach there as well. So, and I was coaching track and I was coaching football. So he said, hey, man, I got a head job down here for you for girls basketball. Are you interested? I said, yeah. And he said, will I be coaching football too? He said, yeah, you got to coach football, man. You got to coach football. So I was able to take the football, assistant football position. That's great. And I took the head girls varsity and the head track and field for all levels, middle and high school, girls and boys. So that's what got me in Thomasville. I was at Brookwood, moved there in Thomasville in 2009, and I've been there ever since. Yeah, so.
Yeah. And I love it because we talked a little bit about just this idea of just reinvesting into these kids, the youth and the students, the things that you've experienced. Man, it's just been translated so well to help, and not just in their athletic abilities, not their skills, but also just in their social aspects. Letting them know that they're more than what they can perform. That they're actually people. So you had mentioned a little bit of like a nonprofit organization that you work with. Tell me a little bit about that.
I back in 2017, I started the nonprofit called Thomas County Stars Academy. The year prior, 2016, one of my kids that I first started teaching and coaching here in Americus, he committed suicide. And again, with that happening, it kind of triggered me to, hey, I was already coaching in the school system, already doing things in the community there, had a great relationship with young people there in the community already. So God just gave me a vision. Like he said, you write your vision down, you make it plain. And again, and I also know the scriptures say you take one step, I'll take, of course, he'll take the other. So I took the necessary steps that it took to build a nonprofit, do everything that it takes to get it, have my mission and what it's going to take. And believe me, like once I put it out there, shared it, just everybody, I just had people, that was like every day somebody, hey, how, I want my son, I want my daughter to be a part of this. Wow. What we need to do. And I promise you, over the past 7-8 years now, we've probably served we probably serve over 600 kids. Yeah. Wow. Well, we build them, build character, just not only on and off the field, but in the community. We did community service, some of everything, Salvation Army stuff, hands on Thomas County, where we, doing the community service projects, food bank, South Georgia Food Bank. We did everything necessary. Just put our kids on that level to let them know that there's some people that has a whole lot less than you do. So you're fortunate. So that's what it built. And again, like I said, but the fun part when we was able to go travel and do our sporting events and things of that nature.
Right. Yeah.
And we've been very, very successful with our sports stuff. But most important, our biggest thing is just the outreach part of our program.
Yeah.
I'll take the outreach over the sports any day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
have you noticed that when kids are given that purpose, especially that serving purpose, that it produces something in them that was, that is so beneficial to their lives, when they're not just thinking about themselves
right.
and like, hey, what do I need to do? How do I'm going to start loving and serving other people and helping. I feel like there's something that triggers that. And it's just like, man,
we always tell them, hey, it's bigger than you. Everything is bigger than you. And I think the kids and I think the younger you teach them, the better it is when they get older. Like the scripture said, train up a child in which he should go, and the older he get, we won't depart from it. Mm-hmm. So we train them to be great citizens, young citizens, and then as they get older, obviously they want to always find ways to get back. So what's happened is over the last 8 years, a lot of those kids that started when they were 12 and 13 and now they've graduated high school, now they're coming back and giving back. They're coming back to me and saying, Coach, hey, can I help out? In whatever way can I help back? Can I help out? So that's huge. And it just kind of warms my heart when I see that. Mm-hmm. Some that still like even now that can't have an opportunity to come back, but they'll pick up the phone, maybe to message me on Messenger or try to find a way to reach out to them. Hey, Coach, is there anything I can do to help out? You got some community service project that you're doing? Yeah. Some of the kids now that are in high school that have aged out of our program, they want to find ways. Hey, Coach, y'all got any community service projects coming? It just warms my heart to see that, because again, those are the things we embedded in them when they were 7, 8, 9 years old. Yeah. And now that they're 15, 16, and 17 years old, now they want to find a way to come back and do the same thing that we trained them to do.
Yeah.
So, and those are the things that create. And like I said, those little things like that, I was trained here by some of the great guys in this community. Like I said, the Jimmy Greens, you'll hear me say Jimmy Green, Carl Wilson, because those guys were those are my pillars. Those were the guys that built me into the man that I am today, because of my either character and respect and going above and beyond the call of duty. And I think those guys did that. Those father figures to us. So those guys poured into us, and I felt like one day that I was going to do the same. That I was going to pour back in some of these kids the same way. And I always treat them as such. So it's a great
that's encouraging
for sure.
I mean, it's like you said, even being 7, 8, 9, and where you were and being able to reinvest into kids at that age, and maybe even some of the same life circumstances.
Definitely.
And you're doing it to serve them. Right. And you never know what the impact you're going to have
at all.
Maybe even some of the guys that you mentioned, they were doing it because they wanted to serve, they wanted to love, they wanted to care for people, but who knew, what's Buck going to do when he gets older? Where's he going to be? But knowing now, I know that's a huge encouragement to people like that. So even if you feel like, if you're listening to this, and let's just say you're just neighboring and you're just loving people that are, your neighbors, and you're just like, I don't know if this is working. I don't know if this is beneficial. Me saying hi, giving them, a birthday present, small things, having them over at the table. Definitely. You have no idea the impact that you're making in people's lives.
And again, one thing I've always learned, even with the kids now that I deal with, like I tell parents, like when my kids are having birthday parties, let me know. I want to show up. I want to be there. I want to bring a gift, and I've done that. I've been. Sometimes I don't want to tell them that I'm coming, and I don't show up, and they're going to be very happy. They're not going to be too happy with me. But I've been very fortunate enough to be able to serve the kids in that way as well. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's good.
I've always been about helping. I just felt like whatever I can do to help someone, that's what I was going to do. So
that's good.
It's very beneficial to me.
There's a phrase that I heard. It's better to undercommit and overdeliver than overcommit and underdeliver.
That's right.
So
that's a true phrase.
I'm gonna try to make it, but I'm not gonna say anything, and I'm gonna show up and overdeliver. That's always a good thing. So yeah, we're talking also just again about Americus, and I mean, like I said, I just moved here about a year ago. I want to know kind of the future of Americus. Where's Americus going? I'm hearing that this is a different season for Americus over the last few years. There's been this, I don't know, like this. Some people use the word excitement. Some people use the word opportunity in this city. So where would you hope to see when you keep coming back, you're kind of seeing some things and you're investing into even some of the students here and just checking up, where would you love to see Americus in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh man, if Americans just get back to the way it used to be when everybody was friends, that was, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of, people weren't murdering. Wasn't a whole lot of fighting. You saw people working together. Everybody get excited about August when August comes, when it's about football season. Everybody get excited when it's basketball season. And we need that excitement, 365 days. And I remember those times when there was always excitement here in this city. And like I said, everybody was friends. Everybody played together. Everybody shared. I mean, it was just that type of community. When America was a city that was growing and in its own way, and maybe not be growing with big factories and things. That just relationships was growing, families was growing. So with that being said, I think within the next 4 or 5 years, I like to see it somewhat there. I see the growth in terms of. I see America got a Chick-fil-A now, it's like, so everybody loves Chick-fil-A, so, that's right. So again, like I said, I see the growth in terms of the business side of it, but I just think the relationships with people has to grow. I think once they get to that point, and everybody care about their kids and their education, that needs to be, because again, like I said, those same kids that we're trying to get educated, they're probably going to be the kids that hopefully that's going to be running our communities or our government, so I think we need to kind of pour into them in whatever way we can, so that they can stay focused. Because again, like I said, some kids at this day and time with so many different things going on and, things are pulling kids different direction. But I think that's only happening because the people, the direction that they're being pulled in, those people are showing them the type of love that they need. But if that love come from the center, which is at their home, the center of their home, I think it's going to be so hard to pull that kid left or right because you're showing that support right there at home. So
that's huge.
I think if we can ever get back to that point where it used to be love in the home, love outside the home, and people pulling each other. It was whether I'm gonna go to Sumter County or I'm gonna go to Americus. But now it's like whether I'm gonna go to school or I'm gonna go to this gang in initiation. It's things of that nature. So I want to be able to see Americus get back where kids cared about school. Parents cared about their kids going to school, and love in the home. And then again, the community supporting everything that the city and the county is doing. And I think there's a total divide when it comes to that here. So I just think within the next 5 years, I think we need to see that.
That would be huge. Yeah.
I think the school is here. You got the business that are coming. They're growing. I think this, if we could just continue to keep the support, community supporting each other, keep our kids here. I think now kids got an option to go to 7, 8 different schools in the area, and they need to stay here, stay in Americas and build. I mean, it's a tall task to ask. But again, like I said, you have not because you ask not. So,
what do you think are some of those ingredients? Like when you think about, how you grew up, and you've mentioned a couple, like, we'll use the terminology like fruit, like, man, people love the home was there. Those are like the fruits of like what you were tasting. And you're like, man, this is good. We need more of that. What are those, the root things, the ingredients that allowed that to flourish that you would love to see a little bit? So like we would ask the question a lot, well, if that's the future we want to see, what are some things that we need to start doing? What are some things that we need to stop doing? And what's some things that we will never stop doing in order to see that reality? So, so maybe some ingredients that would be helpful for families that are like, yeah, I love that. How do we get there?
We got to get the right people. You got to get the right people to buy into that. Again, like I said, you heard me mention Jimmy Green and Carl Wilson. There's other guys, but I just know those were the pillars of the community at that time that we was coming up. And I think if you ask any kid that kind of grew up in our area at the time, they'll mention those two gentlemen. Like I said, I know there's a guy here now, Dwight Harris, that does great stuff with kids here in the community. But it can't just be that at that time, like a particular time. It needs to be all the time. Like, all seasons, there need to be something going on with these kids. So I think because once they get breaks, that's when things start happening. Yeah. But we used to have breaks, but during our breaks, we were doing something, constructive. These kids are not doing anything constructive. So we got to find the right people. My brother Tommy Wilburn, who's another one of those guys that kind of grew up in our era with Jimmy Green and Carl Wilson. Again, he's one of those guys that can help build that type. They need guys like those guys right there to make it. Brandon Gooden, Jonathan Gooden, those brothers, they do great things with the kids, but obviously has to be a consistency throughout the year. Yeah. I mean, I think they got a great base, but again, like I said, it's gotta be about the kids and not about the person, the guys that are doing it. Their personality can't get too large that they can't oversee, these certain things. And of course they got to think outside the box. So again, like I said, I know I always bring everything back to sports because that's those were the things that kept me going. And I just
what do you think would be some good, I mean, you're coaching and they're enjoying the sport and you're wanting to invest into them. I mean, what are some just, as people come for sports or for arts, as adults that we can kind of pour into some of these kids, like what are some really just good questions to ask them to let them kind of know, like, hey, how do I invest into these kids? Because if there is a disconnect already, I mean, sports can obviously be there, arts can be there, but when they're there, what are some really great ways that you experienced or that you share with other kids? Or like, hey, I want to invest into your life.
People are only going to do what they see. If they see it being done or they see what they're investing in, they'll do that. And again, like I said, I can't go and ask a potential donor, hey, I got a youth program going on. We need your money. We need $10,000. But I don't have. You just telling me I got a youth program. I need your money, but money for what? Let me see it. And I hate doing that sometimes. I hate, asking people, bringing paperwork. But sometimes people want to see exactly what they're investing in. So if you're saying that you're going to take your kids to Orlando and play in this particular tournament, or you're going to take them to Tampa, but they want to see where it's going into. And again, like I said, and I think that's where a lot of our leaders are scared to go in and speak with potential donors to be able to help you. And then you won't have to ask a lot of these parents that may not even have the funding to do it. That's what we try to do. We try to cut the costs for our parents by going out and, getting donations. But that's also the plus side of having a 501(c)(3). Because again, the company that's going to donate, they know it's going to be it's going to be a benefit for them in the end. So because you put forth, you put your $5,000 or $10,000 in. Again, like I said, I tell my people all the time, if I had a company that'll donate me $20,000, that'll take care of me the whole season for the whole year. Yeah. But it's hard asking about $20,000. That's right. For sure. Yeah. But sometimes, like I said, you asked was what they need to do. People want to see. They want to see exactly what they're investing in. I mean, I can tell them what you're investing in, but they want to see it. Yeah. And then again, if they see it being done after that, that you said what you said you were going to do, then you'll see the repeating cycle that they'll continue to invest in because they've seen that you put your money where your mouth was. So, so again, that's pretty much how I see all that for sure.
Well, like I said, I mean, it's been encouraging to hear your story, and the obstacles that you had to work through, and man, just the level that you got a chance to play at, and then just giving that back out to the youth. Like you said, I mean, they're the future, right?
Yep.
So they're the ones that are going to be the next taxpayer. They're going to be the next, engineer, or the next coach, or the next, lawyer, or whatever,
right.
The music, arts, all
right.
those things are important. And I think, some of these youth and students just need to be reminded that, man, they have purpose,
right.
right. And the purpose isn't going out and getting in trouble and, making a name for yourself that way. It's, man, there's been God-given gifts to you that if you can excel in and you take seriously, it'll take you wherever you want to go,
right.
So, I mean, and again, you guys are providing some of those environments for those students. So thank you so much for reinvesting.
Definitely.
Again, Thomasville, yes. Americus, you've invested into so many lives. And I think that's really encouraging to hear. Well, let's spend a little bit of time. We're going to kind of land the plane, as we would say. We'd love to get some kind of rapid fire questions, get a chance to know you just a little bit more as well. And so we're going to ask a few quick questions. Here's one. What was the worst job that you ever had?
Man, I worked in a laundry factory overnight when I was in Iowa, in Davenport. It was a laundry factory. It was an Aramark laundry factory where we were doing uniforms and cleaning uniforms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Picking those bags up with uniform. I mean, every night, hundreds and thousands of uniform. I mean, it was, and pushing them all over and taking them out and putting them in a dryer, taking them out in the dryer and put them in, oh God.
Yeah.
I just said, I know I got to get my degree so I don't have to work at nobody's job overnight, nowhere. So
I love it.
That has to be one of my worstest jobs. It might be another one somewhere, but I have to just start out with that one.
That's
so
right. I bet you had some good prayer time.
I did
with the Lord during that season.
As I was throwing them in there.
Lord.
Yeah, as I was throwing them, I was praying. God help me. This don't need to be that long. So
yeah. Okay. Favorite restaurant? Whether that's in Americus, Thomasville. I mean, places you love to eat.
If anybody want to eat great seafood, fish and grits, Jonah Fish and Grits in Thomasville.
Nice.
One of the best places out here. It's downtown, Brick Street. Man, just the best.
Yeah.
I have to say Jonah Fish and Grits.
That sounds good. My wife loves eating at fish restaurants, and I don't.
Yeah.
And so I've got to really make the sacrifice to do it.
You got to check
and
Jonah
get a
out.
hamburger and let her eat.
You get a little
fish.
bit of everything at Jonah's for sure.
Even at this fish restaurant over here downtown, we haven't gone there in a year. And she's just like, "When are you going to take me?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I haven't. I don't think about it." All right, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I haven't been to Jamaica yet. And my wife been asking about it. So I think that'll probably be the place I want to go.
Okay.
That or either do a cruise. I haven't done a cruise either.
Okay.
So,
nice.
So
all right, quick question.
A cruise to Jamaica.
Rapid fire question. What's your wife's name? We didn't get a chance to talk a little bit about her.
My wife her name is Kizzy Seay.
Okay.
And she's from Thomasville.
Okay.
So, yeah. Definitely.
All right. Now did you meet her there?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. If you could be an expert at anything new right now, what would it be? You just could own it.
Ooh. Expert. Something new. That one, I guess I think I'll be like something in law enforcement or something.
Oh yeah?
I think I'll do something in law enforcement. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be like
I would definitely listen to anything you told me to do. If you were just like, yep, I'd be like, yep, 100%.
Yep. The probation officer.
Completely compliant.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite activity that you like to do now, just for a hobby?
Oh man, now just I love to like to watch all the reruns of Andy Griffin Show.
Okay.
That's it. I watch it. I watch from Aunt B first coming to the and all the way down to it turned to RPM. So I mean, I'm a big Andy Griffin fan. I'll sit.
Now, was that like a younger thing, and then you get a chance to do it as you're older?
Definitely.
Okay,
I do it like all of it, like
bringing it back
in the heat of the night. I do it with that. What's another one? The Andy Griffin Show, In the Heat of the Night. The Sanford and Son.
Okay.
I watch every episode. I just
Just throw it on.
Yep.
Just throw it on. Okay. Do you have a favorite tradition or holiday?
Man, I always go back to Christmas. I always say Christmas. And the reason it's always Christmas for me, because when I was coming up, I didn't get Christmas gift. And that was all the way until I was an adult. Until I got married, I got my first Christmas gift, had my first birthday party. So like now I don't even really ask for anything for Christmas, and people always say like, well, my wife asks me all the time, like, what do you want for Christmas, or what do you want for your birthday? Because I was never used to getting it. So now it's like, it's like life, health, and strength is most important to me. But if everybody else is good, I'm good. Yeah. So I thought I'll just say Christmas. Probably that's my Christmas. Okay. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song that you're listening to, or do you just have a musical genre that you're all in?
I listen to everything. Okay. Everything. With being a football coach and you're dealing with a lot of young kids, so you got to kind of
trying to keep up.
Yeah, definitely that. So, but I'm more of a I like country. I always say I'm a country black guy. So I love country music, R&B. I'm a good R&B guy, but yeah. But yeah, most sort of country. I take country over all of it.
Okay. Have you ever been to like a concert or anything?
Yeah, man. I went to George Strait concert, man. Nice. Yeah.
Do you wear the hat and everything? I mean, you get full in?
No, I didn't do that.
No.
Probably if I wore the hat, I probably would have some hair. So, but yeah, definitely. I went to a George Strait concert. It was in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. At the United Center. Yeah. That was like in 2005 2006, something like that. It was up there. Okay. It was in the spring. I know I remember that because it was after a football game. Yep.
All right. Are you a morning person or a night person?
I'm morning. I'm up and ready to roll. So
love it.
I got to get up and go.
So you don't hit the snooze button?
Nope.
Look at you.
Nope. I'll be ready to roll.
Now, do you keep the alarm away from you so that you have to get up and go get it? Or is it right next to you, you hit it, and you're just going?
Oh, yeah. I try to keep it a little bit close to me that I can reach and touch it. But other than that, once it goes off, that's it. I'm good.
I love it.
Get me some breakfast, and
I need some of that. So I was going to ask you, what do you normally have for breakfast?
Sausage and eggs.
Nice.
I put sausage, egg, and cheese in a bowl. That's what I get. Just get those carbs going in the morning. That's for sure.
That's good. I normally get like if I go to Waffle House or something, I get one of those hash brown bowls. I mean,
that's what.
It gets me in trouble though. All right, last one. What is something that most people will likely misunderstand about you?
Oh. That's a good one. That I'm not as bad as people think. Some people got their own opinion that, they kind of form their own opinion about you, about who you are and what you do. But no, I'm not as, but that'd be hard because I don't think nobody really would say anything negative about me unless they're mad because I beat them in something. But
that's right.
But other than that, I don't think, but I'll say that would be it, that I'm not as bad as people, make me out to be. And I'm not that type of person. So I have more people speaking positive about me than, of course, than negative. Yeah. So
probably it's because your passion for the sport, passion for the kids, and it probably seems a little bit more, wow, man, but no, that's just passion.
Definitely. That's
passion
it.
Coming out. That's good. That's good. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's really great. Coming all the way from Thomasville. I mean, this is just great to have you with us. Anytime. Thank you again for sharing your story. I'd love to hear a little bit more, even about the nonprofit side as those things continue to grow. So maybe we can have you on in a year or two and see how things are going. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, awesome. All right. That's it, man. Chris? Man, that was great.
Oh, yeah.